Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Journey to Greatness, day 259 of 365 with David McDonald, the GOAT. Happy Saturday. Had some technical difficulties. My computer froze. So we are here. So we're going to get into our meditation routine. All right. All right, everybody, welcome back. Good morning, Miss Miner. Good morning, Liz. Happy Saturday, everybody. All right, we're down to the home stretch. 15 pages left. Eckhart Tolle's A New Earth. I will see you all on the other side. Shoot. Hmm. 10 pages left, and we are done. We are done with our book. Yes, that's so awesome. Another achievement. That will be a total of 6 books. 6 books in 8 months. This one took a little bit longer to read. It's a little bit longer book. The print was really small too, but definitely making our way. In no time, our shelf would be like, boom. So we just finished our reading routine, and now we're getting into our journaling routine. So we're almost done with this journal too. We probably have another 30 pages. We usually write 3 pages a day, so roughly around like another 10 days, we'll be ready with our new journal also, which is awesome. All right. So in our journaling, usually what I like to write about first is what I'm most grateful for. And in the morning, that's 2 things: waking up, thankful for waking up this morning, and being in perfect mental, spiritual, and physical health. And then I I proceed to, you know, uh, go back to yesterday's activities. For anybody who's joining us for the first time, I go back to yesterday's activities and experiences, and I write it through gratitude. What those experiences meant to me, what I learned from them, etc., etc. Just showing my respects to the fact that we're not taking any of these experiences for granted. And then moving forward, anything I wish to manifest for myself, goals, aspirations, whatever I like, then I go ahead and I write those down also. So if there's anything I wish to experience today, tomorrow, on and so forth. So if you have any questions about that, feel free to personal message me here after the session, and I will see you all on the other side. Good morning, AJ. All right. Welcome back. I was thinking, one way to begin manifesting the income that you want to earn, the people you wish to be around you, you really have to come to a state, a presence, a being of knowing who you are. And I say that because you have to be careful what you ask for. You can be an astronomical dreamer, which is absolutely, supported on this platform, period. And not only is it supported, but very, very highly encouraged. Dream as big as you can imagine. But you got to be mindful. You don't have to do anything. I always remind myself I have to be mindful of what I'm asking for, because when you ask for certain things in life, you will get them. But then there's a post ask scenario that you will experience. And that post ask scenario that you will experience is everything that comes with what you are asking. Transitions in your mindset, transitions in your physical space. So maybe transitions in the people that are around you. There's a number of things I can't even begin to explain. So just as you're manifesting and creating these realities for yourself, be mindful of the post creation that exists. And we'll leave it there. So don't forget, today, everybody, we have our Journey to Greatness meeting at 9:00 at the Corner Bakery. If you scroll down back to my page, you'll see it there. The address, it's in Tukwila. So I'd love to see you all there. Okay, so we're in the final chapter, and it's called The New Earth. And when we're discussing consciousness, so hopefully this section of the book will introduce an idea. It will introduce an idea of consciousness. Introduce the idea of consciousness, or explain it. Explain it in a little bit more detail, so we can have a more thorough understanding of what consciousness really is, what it means to be enlightened. Consciousness is the intelligence, the organizing principle behind the arising form. Form is identified, or is what form is form, like what's happening around us. Formless is our manifestation, is our thoughts, things that you can't touch, things that are there ever so present, but aren't this cup, right? So form, that's what form and formless means. So consciousness is the intelligence, the organizing principle behind the arising form. Consciousness has been preparing forms for millions of years, and so it can express itself through them in the manifested, which is interesting, because how long has Earth been around? Although the unmanifested realm of pure consciousness, or say how long have people been around? Although the unmanifested realm of pure consciousness could be considered another dimension, it is not separate from this dimension of form. Form and formlessness interpenetrate. The unmanifested flows into this dimension of awareness, inner space, presence. How does it do that? Through the human form that becomes consciousness and thus fulfills its destiny. The human form was created for this higher purpose, and millions of other forms prepared the ground for it. So, in other words, form, consciousness, and unconsciousness, pretty much they're in this same category of a dimension. So you could be living unconsciously, and that form of manifest is still in this dimension with those who are awakened. So they are one and the same, and the power is one and the same. So if you're not awake and you're not walking enlightened, then you are just essentially just as powerful as the person who is awake and the person who is enlightened. And actually, a few pages later, the author says it's not what you do, it's how you do it. And so, somebody who's not, fully conscious or walking in an awakened state, may respond to somebody threatening them with violence, right? Or with that same type of opposition. Somebody who is walking a more awakened life may respond with love and support, non-judgment, and release. So again, equally powerful, but we just have to be mindful of how that power actually affects us in our daily. So our life, everything that we do in this world is solely shaped around the idea that we need to step into our higher self, period. Like that is our objective in life. And when we do that, we then break the shackles and we break the mindset and we break the cognitive schemata of our brains. Things, these messages that we're constantly bombarded with, we overcome all of this social and collective consciousness. We rise above all of this, and we're able to create a life that doesn't surround and emerge itself into suffering. Consciousness incarnates into the manifested dimension. That is to say, it becomes form. Huge. Consciousness incarnates into the manifested dimension. That is to say, it becomes form. So form, which is what we're experiencing on a daily, right? The physical things we can see. Consciousness incarnates into the manifested dimension. The manifested dimension is this dimension. So it's a huge connection. This is a huge breakthrough. If you don't feel like, what does that mean? It's a huge breakthrough is what I'm saying. To understand that the more conscious you become, which is understanding who you are internally, understanding what gets you going, and then changing your philosophy so that you're living your life a certain way. Love, peace, non-judgment, and a number of other positive a number of other positive attributes. You can then manifest from your level of consciousness into the manifested dimension, the form in which you wish to see. When it does so, it enters a dreamlike state. Intelligence remains, but consciousness becomes unconscious of itself. It loses itself in form because it becomes identified with form. This could be described as descent of the divine into matter. At that stage in the evolution of the universe, the entire outgoing movement takes place in that dreamlike state. Glimpses of awakening come from only at the moment of dissolution of an individual form, that is to say, death. The human brain is highly differentiated form through which consciousness enters this dimension. It contains approximately 100 billion nerve cells, called neurons, about the same number as there are stars in our galaxy, which could be seen as a microcosmic brain. The brain does not create consciousness, but consciousness created the brain, the most complex physical form on Earth for its expression. When the brain gets damaged, it does not mean you lose consciousness. It means consciousness can no longer use that form to enter this dimension. You cannot lose consciousness because it is, in essence, who you are. You can only lose something that you have, but you cannot lose something that you are, which is huge. We all are consciousness. We all are walking states of consciousness, essentially, but it's just different vibrations that we operate on. And that's why we have different people in the world, right? So we start getting into the next section here. It's called Awaken Doing. We are in the midst of momentous event in the evolution of human consciousness, but they won't be talking about it on the news tonight. So the world is undergoing a large amount of awakening. So a lot more people are becoming awoke and or woke, and they are starting to live more conscious lives. But the thing is to live an unconscious life and to conform to the realities of society, what society says that we should be doing, rather than working 14, 16 hours a day for a year to, complete our journey to becoming a millionaire. We should be out splurging and spending our money and not investing it into things that are going to, create, passive or residual income for us every month so that we can live a financially free life, right? Keep us dependent on the systems that are around us, keep us dependent on debt that is around us so that we can't ever come up for a breath of fresh air. So to be conscious and to be awakened and have our minds totally unlocked to all the different possibilities, to feel the vibrations of the universe that will lead us to our path of destiny, what we were put here to do, is not something necessarily that everybody is talking about in terms of television and these other things. But the truth will always, come, and because we are consciousness, it will arise in us as things happen around the world and things like, things of that nature. So be confident. And that's why I say I believe in humanity so much, because humanity, people, even though there's a lot of bad stuff going on, we have that underlying state. We originate from a place of love. We originate from a place of peace, of unlimited power, of unlimited intelligence. That's where we come from. We grow and we learn these other attributes, right? And so that is the reason why I believe the world is the way that it is, because we're affected by the collective consciousness. But when we come back to where our origination actually comes from, which is inside of all of us, no matter all the smoke screens and all this crap that's up in front of us, it doesn't matter. We, in the deepest core root of us, we have these really, really pure characteristics. And so to tap into those and take ourselves to the next level without some tragic, situation happening to us, or some near-death experience, us going through some type of near-death experience, we don't have to do that. We're inviting our consciousness to the forefront of our lives so that we can create something beautiful. So why should it continue to create, to experience, and form? For the enjoyment of it. How does consciousness do that? Through awakened humans who have learned the meaning of awakened doing, right? So we have to be awakened in our doing. Consciousness flows through you into this world. It flows into your thoughts and inspires them. It flows into what you do and guides and empowers it. Not what you do, but how you do what you do determines whether you are fulfilling your destiny. And how you do what you do is determined by your state of consciousness, period. So yesterday I was on the phone. I put my sign up on a property on a main road. And there's a bunch of hedges that cut off between the house that's behind it. And on the other side, I have my sign. And then you have the main road and the draining system, right? I got a call yesterday from a homeowner who was very, very, very upset. He left a voicemail on my phone, super duper upset. And very rude, not very polite. But I listened to him, I heard him out. I addressed it. I said, okay, first off, I really want you to know this is not a matter of real estate professional against homeowner. The only reason why we put our signs on main streets is to drive the traffic from the main street into the community. And then from the community, there's directional arrows that then lead you to the house. When you get to the house, then you will see the main sign there with the flyer, etc., etc. That's the purpose. Oh, well, you put your sign on my property and you did it. I understand your frustration. The thing is, I didn't intentionally put my sign on your property. And a matter of fact, do you know where the property line ends? Usually there's a setback from the main road to where your property line is, where your house is built, et cetera, et cetera. So he's like, no, I don't know that. I need to go look it up. And I'm like, okay, great. And I was like, I'd also like to mention, as I was listening to you talk, you said you would allow my small for sale sign to be there in the yard. Even if it is your property, right? If it is your property, you'd allow for it to happen. And then I said, I just want to thank you for that. I appreciate the opportunity that you're giving me to at least have that sign there. And then I asked him, I continued, and I said, okay, what exactly is it that you want me to do? I was like, you want me to put a directional arrow on the sign so that, and then he's like, oh, people are walking up to my house, they're invading my privacy. And I'm scratching my head. I'm like, I've never heard that ever in my life, right? I've never heard that in my life. But I give you the benefit of the doubt. I didn't say that out loud, but I was thinking it. But I was like, but I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. And then, okay, I'll get out there and I'll put a directional arrow on it to help, redirect the traffic. So I'm at the store and then I get another phone call. So I was like, okay, so, you go ahead and you check your record. You see if that's in fact your property. And then I will go back, and even if it's not your property, I will go back and I will look to see on my record if your property line continues so close to the street that it's on the property. Oh, okay. And then boom, we hang up. Then I get a call like 30 minutes later, and his wife calls me, and she's going off. Right? She's going off, and I'm just like, okay, I'm listening to her, and then I just immediately said, I really would like to talk to you, but do you want me to call you back when you calm down a little bit? And then she goes, no, I can talk right now. No, I'm good. I said, okay, excuse me. So I walked outside. You were saying to my husband this, that, and the other. You were saying to him that this, that, and the other, and he needed to go back and look at this and look at that. No, I didn't say that to your husband. What I said to your husband was, I appreciated the fact that he would allow the smaller sign to be there. Even if it was your guys' property. If I was to put an actual directional arrow on top of the sign, he said that would, clearly identifying that it's not their property. Mind you, there's a hedge that's 13 feet high on that street. So there's no house showing on the corner lot, right? So it's pretty much all blocked off, and you're on the main street and you just see the sign. That's the note. And so I say, okay, and not only that, I'm going to mention to you, like I mentioned to your husband, this is not a professional agent against homeowner. I'm not coming from that place of communication. I'm not coming from that place of intention. Oh, you should have told me. I didn't know that was your property line, right? It's not clearly, it's not. From my experience and from the way that I run my business and how I've been doing this for the last 6 years, in theory, 3 years and 11 months, I've never had a problem like this before. So right now I'm trying to find the solution and work with you guys. And it's a matter of me finding out exactly where the property line is. And once we find out where the property line is, then we can make the declaration to say, okay, what other issues or what other things are you having with my sign being there? I need to see a permit. I need to see this, that, and the other. You mentioned that a little bit earlier. And I mentioned to you that the permit, it's actually it's a state law now that you have to wait 3 days for a sign to be installed so the utility companies can come out and mark the property line. So technically, there are no permit. But if you want the permission, I can give you the number to the company that installed the sign, and we can go from there. How does that sound? So first off, the reason why I just said that story was because ample opportunity in between, start from finish, that I could have responded to this person on the phone who was very, very harsh toward me, accusing me of things that I wasn't doing, accusing me of an attention or a place that she was perceiving me to come from that I wasn't coming from. the way that I responded diffused the situation. And by the end of the conversation, it was like, okay, what I want is, it went from, I don't want your sign up there, this, that, and the other. You offended, you're on our property, you're invading our privacy, to, okay, just come out and put a directional arrow. And on the directional arrow, just write the address down. Simple. So again, how you respond, that could have been really bad, and altogether, ultimately, my sign would have been taken down. And in theory, I said, if there's anything else that comes up later on, let me know. I'm here to work with you guys. But I don't think anything else is going to come from it, right? They're just frustrated, understandable. But I had to explain my intention and run right toward it. I ran right through it. I wasn't timid. I wasn't offended. I just told them, okay, look, we're not battling here. I'm making this very clear. We may agree or disagree with what's going on right now, but at the end of the day, the only thing that we need to do is figure out how I can be happy, how you can be happy, and how I'm respecting your property, if in fact this is your property. And then at that moment, I'm subject to whatever you tell me. So, grace, the 3 modalities of awakened doing. There are 3 ways in which consciousness can flow into what you do, and thus through you into this world. 3 modalities in which you can align yourself or align your life with the creative power of the universe. Modality means the underlying energy frequency that flows into what you do and connects your actions with the awakened consciousness that is emerging into this world. What you do will be dysfunctional in the ego unless it arises out of one of these 3 modalities. So, in other words, there's three ways to live, and we're getting ready to go into what some of those 3 ways to live is. So they may change during the course of the day, although one of them may be dominant during a certain stage in your life. Each modality is appropriate to certain situations. I have to also note that, yes, although majority of the time we're always in a conscious state, but although that is the perfect, not the perfect, well, that's a good way to respond to aggressive attacking behavior. At the same time, there are times when frustration does arise in me, right? When I'm like, what are you asking me? And I'm on the other side of the line trying to figure out what the other person is either A, selling me, or B, trying to tell me. And if they're searching, or I feel like pushing for some type of blowback, then then at times I feel frustration rise within me. Or I'm like, what? And then I might take a sharp tone with the other person on the other phone, on the other line. So granted, right? That is the way, that 2 perfect examples. You catching a sharp tone with somebody on the other phone with you, you're like, what are you talking about? But at the same time, like, the difference, I think, between living awakened and non-awakened is realizing that you're catching that frustration, you're catching that energy where you're becoming short with the other person. Then you have to correct your behavior mid conversation. You're like, oh, like I ordered some shoes off of Nordstrom yesterday. I called the customer service rep. 2 pairs were canceled for some reason because they were out of stock or something like that. So I'm talking to the lady. I'm like, so what do I got to do to make sure that if I do order something online, I don't shop very much. Let that be clear. I don't shop very much, but when I do shop, it's usually because I have holes in my shoes, or like my shirts are like, I got holes in my shirts for them being pressed so many times. So anyway, so I asked the customer service, what do I got to do to make sure that when I order something online, I'm not wasting time? Because when I order something, I want to wear it, right? So I want to use it for an event. I want to, use it for something coming up, whatever it may be. So if I order it and it doesn't show up, it's kind of disappointing a little bit, right? So, but mid conversation, I feel like her tone's starting to get sharp with me, and I'm just asking her questions, right? Like she doesn't want to help me. And then I'm like, okay. So then I feel like I start getting a little bit sharp with her back. And I'm like, okay, hold on. I have to verbally say this and come out. I am not coming from a place of frustration. These are clothes we're talking about. My life does not revolve around material. I'm on the phone with her. I'm like, my life does not revolve around material things. So I want to make this very clear that I'm not frustrated or upset with anything that's going on. My biggest thing that I'm trying to figure out here is, how do I make sure when I order something that is going to show up? And then she goes, oh, just call us, and then you can just order it through the phone. And then we'll tell you if we have it in stock. Boom. So again, awaken, right? Or me just going off on her. How dare you guys not send my clothes? Shut up, David. Shut up. Who cares, dude? They're just clothes. Like, what? You can't, like, have a disruptive energy flow for what reason? For clothes? Like, come on. That's ridiculous. So again, awaken awareness. 3 modalities. Here we go. The modalities of awaken doing are acceptance, enjoyment, and enthusiasm. Each one represents a certain vibrational frequency of consciousness. You need to be vigilant to make sure that one of them operates whenever you are engaged in doing anything at all, from the most simple task to the most complex. If you are not in a state of inner acceptance, enjoyment, or enthusiasm, look closely and you will find that you are creating suffering for yourself and others. Acceptance means, for now, this is what this moment requires me to do, and so I'm willing to do it. So you have your tire that goes flat and you have to change it in the rain was the example the book talks about. Yes, you don't want to do it, but who cares? Just get out, do it. You don't have to be happy doing it necessarily, but just accept that you have to do it. And it's just something that needs to be done. And that's it. If you can neither enjoy or bring acceptance to what you're doing, then stop. Call AAA and bring them through to help you out. Otherwise, you are not taking responsibility for the only thing you can really take responsibility for, which also happens to be one thing that really matters, your state of consciousness. And if you are not taking responsibility of your state of consciousness, you are not taking responsibility for your life, which is beautiful, because what we're getting ready to read here, which was like a mantra that for our Journey to Greatness community, it says, I take full responsibility of my life. And then we wrote that months ago, maybe a month ago. So again, divine truth rearises or resurfaces again through the words of different people in our energy frequency. So feel free to reach to say after me. This is my life. I am aware. I take full responsibility for my reality and thoughts. I recognize I have the power to manifest the best possible life. A life of wealth, love, and peace. I truly believe I have zero limitations. I trust my instincts, God, and universe. I am ready to transcend. I have arrived, and so it is. Good morning, everybody out there. Thank you for jumping on the messenger board. I greatly appreciate that. All the support, all the love, and the presence. I hope to see everybody again today at 9 a.m. It's 6:30 now, so you got a couple hours to get ready. Go on a jog, wake up, and jump over to the Corner Bakery Cafe in Tukwila. The address is on my Facebook page. So if you scroll down just one video below this, you'll see it there. They have unlimited coffee. So you buy a cup of coffee for like $2 or $3. And then if you want 2 cups, then it's $150. And then if you want 3 cups, and I swear that coffee is very, very interesting. I don't know. You probably don't want to go past 2 cups because it gets a little creepy. But if you buy 3 cups, then each cup will be like 75 cents. So, and it's actually pretty good coffee. They have, breakfast things there. So come join the community of people. If you're wondering, what does this guy do every single morning? Well, this is what we do. So thank you for joining me. And then the group sessions is the second segment or second part of the journey to greatness, where we can all come together in the outside space and create or just have a conversation with cool people, and just be, not worried about, this, that, or the other, and just be. And it's on Saturday. It's an early morning thing, and it's just good vibes, a good way to set the day off. So anyway, everybody who's at home watching behind the camera, thank you so much. I appreciate the support forever. I love you guys. I hope you have the best day of your life, and I'll see you all at 9 o'clock and tomorrow at 5 a.m.